Hey guys, so my channel is still new, relatively new, and the odd reality is the part of the video where people say, I'm waiting for people to come in, always, I don't know why, it annoys me. So I'm not going to do that. I am just going to speak. I'm praying that this video will save. Like I said, I'm just building my channel. I'm new to this. This is not my forte, but this is another important topic that we have to address. This topic is about Dr. Ena Farley. I have my notes here, so if you see me look off to the side, I'm looking at my notes. Dr. Ena Farley is an African-American woman at the age of about, I think she's about 85 or 86 right now. She was the director. She's a professor emerita at SUNY Brockport. She was nominated and awarded the James C. Fallon Distinguished Service Award. She's a PhD and in African American history, in American history at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. She got her master's degree in education at the Putney Grad School for Teacher Learning, a Bachelor of Arts with honors from the University of London, the University College of the West Indies. She served on the New York State Board of Regents from 1997 to 2002. She also retired in 1995 as the professor and chairperson of the Department of African American Studies at SUNY Brockport. She taught there since 1973. She also was formerly assistant professor of American Studies at SUNY Buffalo. About a year ago, Dr. Ena Farley was forcibly and violently kidnapped from her home by the local police department at the behest of one of her sons. Her son's name is Chris Farley. And from what I understand, based on my research and based on what the family members who are in her corner and what she has articulated herself, he is a producer for PBS. Yep, you heard me, PBS, as in Public Broadcast System, as in Sesame Street. He is a producer for there. This man allowed and encouraged and lied to the police and had them come and forcefully remove his mother from her home. Look on YouTube, you will see videos about it. It is my sincere belief that this family has not been able to get the coverage and the attention to this matter. They're older. Dr. Farley, like I said, is about 87. Her children are older, and they are not, well, the child that's helping her, they are not social media savvy. And so while they've been trying to get the word out, for some reason they are not getting the word out. And also this brother, Chris Farley, who may have greater social media awareness and skills, has been striking their videos. Even though the videos are not his, he's striking them because he doesn't want the word to get out. This story is amazing. It is disgusting. And I plead with you all to make sure you get your own personal affairs in order. Make sure you have someone designated as your medical proxy, someone that you love and know and trust. In the event someone else wants to try to pull a fast move on you, you have someone who is of sound mind and body to speak on your behalf and step forward. Hello, greetings, grace and peace, on your behalf, because this story is horrific and sad. So this woman who, and I listened to, this is not hearsay, this is not an assumption, I watched the videos. I listened to this woman speak she's being held against her will at a memory care facility, at like a senior home. Now, ironically, my daughter and I watched a movie about 3 years ago, sometime during the pandemic, about a woman who was taking over elderly people, just striking up a conversation with them, and then putting a false guardianship thing over them. They could be totally of sound mind and body, completely able-bodied, and then she would just put this, she would try to gain guardianship over them to take their fortunes. And it was sick and disgusting to watch, and now here is a real-life version of it. So this one has been orchestrated by her son, Chris Farley. She lived in a home, her home that she purchased. Like I said, this woman is a PhD, taught at many institutions for years and years, and is an able-bodied woman. She literally was at her home. They came and stormed her house with no warrant and dragged this woman out crying, telling them that they are breaking her arm, pleading with them to not be so rough. By the time this woman reemerged, she had a black eye, her arm was injured, and she had all types of situations going on, which is, in a nutshell, is ridiculous. There was no reason. First and foremost, if your actions, please excuse me, if your actions are for the care of your mother, there is no need to manhandle her. And anybody that will allow someone to manhandle their mother, there is a special place, not in hell, but that lower region under hell for you. This is madness. After you watch my video, please look her name up, Dr. Ena Farley, Farley, Dr. Ena Farley. And this is a travesty. I want y'all to like, share, subscribe, comment. You know, my daughter, she's a teenager. She tells me to say all these things. And please share this video, get it out so other people are aware. We have to raise our voices. Thank you. Actually, people call these the glasses that TikTok went viral in. They call these my signature glasses, but I love these glasses. And my glasses, and you guys will see me from time to time fan myself because I am of a certain age and I'm experiencing private summers, and this is just what it is. So if I get a little hot, please excuse me, but I am as real as they come. So this video struck me and hurt me to the core because I understand what was happening. Like I said, my daughter and I had seen a movie, and this woman had concocted this scheme. She got a couple of people to work with her. She would strike up conversations with older people and literally put them under guardianship without their knowledge or their power, and literally take control of them and take control of their assets. It is a nasty game out here. Make sure you guys are protecting your family members. Those of you who know me as a life insurance agent and know what I do, hear me always talk about the importance of getting a trust. But not only a trust, you want an entire estate plan that protects you. You want a medical care proxy, and you want, not exactly sure why my phone is saying low battery because it is plugged in, but you know, we gonna see. You always hear me talk about having a full suite of estate planning things because listen, the last thing you want to deal with is somebody, and it's not always a stranger. Sometimes it is your very own bloodline coming to steal that which you have worked hard for. And it is a shame, and it is disheartening, and it is disgusting. So this woman is now, and has been for in excess of a year, in this care facility. She has a video out, and she explained what the origin of this story is, and it's disgusting. So she has a few children. I didn't hear where the father was. I assume that he died over the years, and she has, or possibly was not there. But anyway, this mother was actively involved in raising her children. She said she had to pay for all of her children with the exception of one. That is the one who lived with her, Jonathan Farley. She said Jonathan was the exceptional student. He got scholarships galore. She said she didn't have to shell out one penny to educate this man. She said she raised them all. She was an educator. She taught all of her children. Jonathan excelled at academics. Jonathan gained scholarships. She didn't have to spend one penny. She didn't mind spending a penny. She herself is an educated woman, and so she understands the importance and the beneficial aspect of gaining higher education. So it was her pleasure to do that for her children. She made great money. She achieved a lot. And so she put away money to afford the ability to provide that education for her children. The rest of them, she had to pay for them to go to college and pay for them to go to graduate school and pay for all of their expenses. Jonathan didn't require that. The others went on, got married, had children. Jonathan did not. Jonathan lived in the home with her, and they had a very joyful, exceptional life, according to Dr. Ena Farley. Well, one of her sons, Chris Farley, who, like I said, is a producer at PBS, aka Sesame Street and them, the public broadcast system, decides he wants his mother's house. And she announced she's giving it to Jonathan. And her justification is, first of all, it's her house, and it's her right to do what she wants with her property that she worked for and paid for. And Chris allowed some Asian woman, white Asian, I guess she's a biracial, white and Asian, to move in the house and try to push them out. She has just moved in and taken over their house. Now, she said, I'm giving my house to Jonathan because I didn't have to spend any money educating him. The rest of them have wives and children. They have their families and their lives. And so because Jonathan never cost me anything educationally, I decided this is the gift I will give to him. I want me and Jonathan live together and we have a phenomenal life. And I want to continue living with my son, Jonathan, until the good Lord calls me home. Well, we all know what it's like. Not every family, but most families knows is always that one. He decides that house is mine. And so when he doesn't think that he can get his mom to change her mind, and he's motivated by greed, jealousy, and whatever nefarious things are in this guy's system, because it doesn't make any sense. He's motivated by all this stuff. He allows this woman to move into the mother's house. There's video footage of this woman talking on a police body cam when the police made her leave the house. And he's like, how did you come to be here? And she's like, oh, well, I looked it up and I saw that this older lady lived here. So I just decided to come on and take over it and move in. I mean, the audacity. And I don't know that she realized she was on a body cam, but she was talking freely. And the cop was a little too friendly with her. He was a little helping her. Oh, what else do you need me to grab for you? Is this all? And she's like, oh, this is all I'm taking right now, but I'm concerned about my things in there. And he's like, well, what do you have? Just a few things. She's like, no, I have a front room and the living room and my bedroom. You moved into this woman's house, took over, set up all your stuff, and you're concerned about them damaging your stuff in their house? Like, she is not even pretentious about having a legal right or authority to be in there. This woman, Dr. Ena Farley's son, Chris, has empowered this Asian woman to feel like she can house them, take over everything, and they're going to split the house, I guess, or sell it or whatever. Meanwhile, this woman, Dr. Farley, is living in some sort of assisted care facility. I mean, this was the movie that we watched verbatim. And these people had to fight to gain and prove that they were not mentally incompetent. Now, mind you, as of the last court date, no judge has still declared this woman to be mentally incompetent. And she speaks clearly. Someone is documenting, they're doing, I guess her son Jonathan, the one that she lives with, has gotten, some of the videos I saw, they got someone to come in and like oversee and try to document what's happening. This woman has been, phone service has been withheld from this woman. Now she's a resident of this facility against her will. She says it, this is against my will. They are force medicating her, which is a violation of the Patient Bill of Rights. You have a right to an active part in your, what'd you say, change my glasses? Why? What's wrong with them? Why am I changing my glasses? Oh, these must be the trolls. Hey, trolls, welcome in, darling. Come on in, have a seat while I drink from my lovely crystal and you here to criticize me. Let me take a sip of water and salivate myself in case I have to read you the riot act. Don't come in here with your nonsense, okay? My channel is new and I don't have moderators, but I will have some soon. You're not welcome here with your nonsense. If you want to be welcome here to take part in the discourse, you're absolutely welcome to do that. But this is not Scallywag Central and we're not gonna play those silly games, okay? We're not gonna play those games. And so this woman, Dr. Ena Farley, needs our care. She needs our assistance and greetings and grand rising and, well, not grand rising, but great day and good evening to you all. She needs our assistance and she needs our care to get this case out. First and foremost, this could happen to our mothers. Thank you. I love you right on back. And you know what? Thank you. You know what I call you guys? My nerd herd, because I'm such a nerd. Like, I was always, you know, the cool girl, but I was always a nerd and I was so comfortable with that. And all my friends knew it and my family, and they're all comfortable with that. And that's my zone. You know how they say stay in your lane? This is my lane, baby, and I'm driving straight down the middle of the road. I'm happy to be here. And I appreciate you all here. Continue to help me grow this channel. Follow me. You know, there's a landscape with room for all of us and all types of content creators. And I just feel like there's a lane for me and there's a lane for us. And sometimes, you know, we want to hear a little rash. Sometimes we want to hear something serious. Sometimes we want to hear something documentary wise. I think there's room for everything. And so I appreciate you guys for being here with me. Like I said, my heart is broken by this case. I do not think that this is right. and it's more common than we know. I would like for each and every one of you guys to get your estate planning in order. You should have a power of attorney, or limited power of attorney that will kick in if in the event you are unable to make decisions for yourself. You should have a medical care proxy. And I've had to do this for my husband, God rest his soul. And I will just go into that story a little just to give you an understanding of the importance of having one and why it's necessary. So first and foremost, when I met my husband, Roger Rubin, when I met him 30 something years ago, he's been gone now for 3 years. So it was 30 something years ago, probably closer to 40 now. But we met each other, and I literally, probably 3 months in, he says to me one day, if anything should ever happen to me and I can't make a decision for myself, I want you to make the decision. And if anything happens to me, don't let my mother have a say in it because she'll kill me. So 3 months in, this is heavy for a relationship. It's heavy for a new relationship, and I had to clutch my pearls. I was like, what a strange thing to say. You know, we're young, so that was heavy. I couldn't understand why this man was saying this conversation to me. Like, if anything should ever happen when I can't decide for myself, like, what's going to happen to you? Is there something I need to know? Is there something you're planning for? What is it? And it startled me a little. And I will admit, I even pulled back a little in the relationship and kind of, skedaddled and went and did my thing. And when I had moved to another state, and when I came back home, I kept seeing all his friends. They're like, oh my God, he's been looking for you. He's been looking for you. You know, he loves you. He can't stop talking about you. He's looking for you. I'm glad when I came back, I got some sense about myself and some wits, and we continued, and we've built an amazing family, and we have a grandchild and everything. So thank God for that. But he said this to me, and at the time it was a little off-putting, but when you let go and you let God, when you let the Most High step in the room, and that's how you're motivated, he will always lead you in the right direction. I am so happy that did not scare me off, because it wasn't until my husband, God rest his soul, passed away, I realized that this man was a prophet. And he spoke that to me in the beginning, and it is exactly how he went. He ended up having kidney disease over the years, and it was a tough go at it, but we did what we had to do. You know, there were times where we fell out, and there were times where we were together, and then we broke up, and then we were together. You know how it is, just real life. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. It's real life. But it just so happens that early on, he said to me, I need you to be my proxy. So when the kidney issue came up, he was on dialysis, and they were trying to get him a kidney. He was on the kidney donor list for quite some time. And so I had to physically sign and, have it notarized and all this stuff, that I was willing to be his healthcare proxy. And I was willing to make the decisions for him in the event he was unable. So while he was on the list, I remember the day where, the donor came in and he had to go in to have the surgery. By the grace of God, everything went fine, and he got the kidney transplant, and he was living. Now, the one thing I will say, and this is something we were never told, we didn't find out until years later, right before he passed away. We automatically think, or at least my family and the people I know, we automatically thought once you get a transplant, that's like a reset button, starting from scratch. No, it's not. What they consider a successful transplant, you may get 8 years out of it. I wish someone would have told us that. No one told us that. We believed that it was like, okay, your life is extended. You're going to live, forever until it's time for you to go. Not the case. I'm sure we would have done things differently. He would have done things differently. We would have been a lot more empowered, but we didn't know. He ended up getting more than 12 or 13 years out of it. So that was considered a big success. But ultimately, it started to fail him, and he succumbed to the kidney disease. However, he had a massive heart attack. He had been in Miami, where his mom was. He had a massive heart attack, and he was in the hospital at the time. He had called me that day, and I would, send him food or whatever. And he was like, you know what I feel like eating? It was February 16th. I remember it vividly. He said, I feel like eating there was this Jamaican restaurant called Dutch Pot. And so I said, okay, I'll order you some. And I said, you think they're going to let you get the Uber Eats in the hospital? And he said, well, one of his Jamaican friends was a nurse, and she would get it for him on her lunch break. So he said, don't order it yet. I'll call you back. When she comes in, I'll check and see if she can go down and get it for me. And when she says yes, then you order it. He never called back. So I just assumed, I got busy that evening, and I assumed maybe she said she wasn't able to get it. So I left it alone. But it's my sincere belief, hindsight, he knew he was about to go. And one of the strange things he said, baby, I'm so happy you pick up the phone. He's Jamaican. I'm so happy you pick up the phone. You always pick up the phone when I call. And I said, of course. Why would I not pick up the phone? Of course. He said, I love you. You're here. I love you so much. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. We laughed. We chuckled for a little, and he hung up. He didn't call back. My son calls me in the middle of the night. Inconsolable, and says, Daddy had a heart attack. I am shocked. I'm astounded. Like, they were almost able to track when the heart attack was based on the last call that came into his phone, or the last phone call he interacted with. And then it was a bunch of missed calls. So that's how we were able to assess when it happened. But his mom got to the hospital first. I was in New York taking care of my sister who was recovering from a stroke. And my son jumped up and drove down, and I booked a ticket and flew down the next day. Got there the next day. This happened in the evening. And when I got there, the doctor or the nurse said to me, well, it won't be long. Please, make peace and say your goodbyes and things like that. This is what he said to me. And we have the do not resuscitate. So I said, skirt, do not resuscitate. Why on earth would you have a do not resuscitate on him? And they said, oh, his mother said that. I said, hold on a second. What? They said, yeah, his mother said if he struggles, don't save him, let him die. Now, the first thing that popped into my head was what this man had said to me 30-something years prior. If my mother has something to do with it, don't let her have a say because she will let me die. And I was just like, this can't be real. I said, first and foremost, look in that file. I am his medical care proxy. I am me, and I added my middle son, because my oldest son wants nothing to do with death. The middle one, I figured, let me add him in because they're adults. And I did that the year before. I made the mistake of not telling him, which was a horrendous mistake. But I'd added him to it because I just, thought that it was something, they're adults now. Don't do that to your kids. Add them with their consent. It is a very tough thing for them to deal with. But I said, oh no one has the right to make a decision about his care and how he has asked that every legal remedy be exhausted for his life. I said, take that DNR off right now. And the lady's like, oh, well, his mother, I don't care. Look in your file. I am his proxy. The legal proxy, your medical health care proxy means when he can't speak, I am him. My voice is him. They went in the file, the head of ethics, the administrator on duty, the doctor, all these people came around and was like, oh my God, Miss Rubin, we are so sorry. We apologize. Please forgive us. I said, you got to do better. And he struggled quite a few times. He ended up surviving for 7.5 weeks until, and the irony is, he passed away on what would have been on our anniversary. I told my daughter, I said, we got to go down to Florida. Dad is calling us. I can feel him in my spirit. He was in a coma for that long. I said, he's calling us. So I jumped on a plane and I flew down with my daughter. And some of the nurses had given me a hard time because I called like literally, I would call 3 times a day, sometimes 5 times a day. And I would say, put me on FaceTime. Let me see him. And they would put me on FaceTime and I would just talk to him. And in the beginning parts, you would see him trying to, even though he was intubated, he would be trying to push the, respirator out of his mouth, and his eyes, he was blind because of diabetes, but his eyes would be moving. And the nurses would always be like, oh my God, mommy, he don't respond to nobody. Only when your voice, he don't respond to nobody. And I said, because he doesn't know who you are. He literally knows me. He knows me. He's in a coma. They say the hearing is the last to go. And so he doesn't know what's happening to him and why he's not in control of himself right now. When he hears all these voices in the background, he doesn't recognize you, but he recognizes me. So that's why I call all the time. every day. Some of the nurses were nice. Some of them were nasty. We don't have time for this. Listen, I said, reacquaint yourself with the patient bill of rights. I have the authority to do this, and I want to see my husband now. And I would force them, and I would say, call the administrator on duty. I'm not going to argue with somebody who don't have the knowledge or the rights. So call the administrator on duty. They would come. It got to a point where they knew, don't play with this lady. Get her on that phone and let her talk to her husband, and that's it. And I would pray with him, and I would read him scriptures, and I would do this, and I could see him reacting. Well, when it got to that later stage in life, they couldn't tell me what was wrong with him. Outside of the heart attack, he was healing at one point, but they couldn't specify what was wrong. And I said, well, come on. What is it that you're not getting? I would call every day. What is his hemoglobin? What is this? What is that? I wanted the numbers and everything. I had a whole board. And so I listed out everything that was wrong with him, and I started doing my own research. I started watching things and researching. And one day I called one of the doctors and I said, I know what's wrong with him. And he said, what are you talking about? Like, how could you possibly know that? You're not a doctor. I said, listen, he's my only patient. I know what's wrong with him. And he said, well, tell me, what do you think it is? And I told him, I said, it's a cytokine storm. It was in the middle of COVID. He probably got COVID from one of those traveling nurses because he was in the ICU. But, you know, they don't have steady nurses. So some nurse dealt with a client and then came over to him, probably gave him COVID, and then his body was trying to fight all this stuff that was going on, and it caused a cytokine storm where your body goes into such a attack mode trying to heal you, it starts to kill your good cells too. And the doctor says, oh my God, how did you come up with this? I said, because he's my only patient. You guys have a lot of patients, but that's my husband. He's the only patient I'm focused on. So I'm able to take all the information that I'm getting and check it out. By the time they realized what it was, he didn't have long to go, but he started to decline so much. So the day when I told my daughter, Dad is calling us, it was our anniversary, and our anniversary was huge to this man. When I say huge, huge. And so I wanted to be with him for our anniversary. And we had a little joke we used to run. When I first met him, he was following me down the block, and I thought he was going to rob me. And so I was like, what does this guy think he's going to rob me? I'm going to go in that corner store over there, and if he follows me, I'm going to jump out at him. So I go in the corner store and go around, and when I come around the aisle, he's standing there, and I jump out. I say, what are you doing? You think you're going to follow me? You're going to rob me? And he started saying, hold on, baby, rob you? Boy, baby, you look so good. Me spend $1 million on you. And I was like, okay, dear. And that was it. We were inseparable. He and I were born on the same day, 3 years apart. And he died on our anniversary. And the only reason that it was tough, the only reason that I was able to even have a level of comfort with it and be able to process it is because we had this joke we used to run. I used to always say, hey, you owe me $995,000 and I'm here to collect. And we would laugh like two fools. That was our joke for each other. We would do it all the time. We would say it all the time to each other. Or he would tell me, you're not coming to collect your money. I ain't hear you collect your money in a long time. And we would laugh. And so while I was standing at his bed, just praying with him and hugging him, I had this strong urgency that he was ready to let go. And I was like, oh my God. I told Nirvana, I said, I don't think we have much longer with him. And the nurses and the doctors, even the nurse that was giving me a hard time, that I was really going to take her license because she had stepped out of line. I recorded all of the calls. I have like 297 phone calls recorded, because that is another thing I will teach you guys. Record everything, especially when you're doing business. Record everything. Don't play a game with people of their word against yours. Play a game with them of their word against them. If people don't know they're being recorded, and especially if you're in Georgia or certain states that are single party consent, as long as you are a party to that conversation, you have a right to record and you don't have to announce it. You'd be surprised what you catch people saying. And that came up because of the case we saw recently with the family who was trying to treat their son, and the hospital said they wanted his organs. It's important for that too. Make sure you have a healthcare proxy to speak on your behalf, or they get to do what they want. And it shouldn't be that way, but it's what it is. And so the nurse that was giving me a hard time, she hugged me and she said, oh my God, mommy, I'm so sorry. I really can feel the love and I see the love. I'm so sorry that we hit it off. And she hugged me so long and so tight. And trust me, I needed it at the time because my daughter was just inconsolable. I was trying to keep a straight face, but this was my partner for decades. And it was a tough thing to experience. And so they all crowded around in a form of respect, doctors, nurses, everything. And they came and said, oh, tell us about him. Tell us who he was when he was, actively awake and interacting. And I said, oh, he was a funny guy. I said, and I told him, I said, we had this joke. I told him about I'm coming to collect. And when I said that part, all of a sudden, beep, 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 all these things started going off, all these machines. And they were like, stat, stat, cold blue. And he literally had a massive heart attack when I said it. And all of the doctors were rushing it. It was horrific. It was horrific. But I said, he's laughing. That's his final laugh. I know he's laughing. And the laugh was so much that it took him. And that was tough. But that's why I want you guys to prepare yourself. If you get to a point where you need it and you don't have it, it's already too late. These are conversations. We're grown-ups now. We talk about everything under the sun. These are the conversations we have to have with our families. We can no longer be afraid of death. We have to have these conversations. You need to have a healthcare proxy. You also need to have that power of attorney so all of your accounts and all of that can be dealt with, because that is a whole nother story about his family robbing him while he was in a coma. In a level of respect for the people that don't even deserve it, I won't go into that tonight. But that was February 16th. He called me and said, babe, order the food. He had the heart attack that night. On February 18th, this man was laying in a coma. And like I said, he was blind, so I handled his business, or he had a couple of people that he trusted. He had a cousin he trusted, and these people went into this man's account and Zelled his money to themselves. 2 days, when he was in a coma for 2 days. Like, I won't go into it now. But these things can only be prevented. Now, I found it out, and I made the bank take the money back, and I scandalized those people. However, you don't want to have to suffer this indignity. And when I tell you, everybody that share your skin ain't your kin. And just because you guys are from the same bloodline, don't mean that that is your family. Designate someone that you trust, that you have built up a long-standing relationship with. It may be a blood relative. It may be your closest friend. And possibly make it 2 people so that there's a quorum. So it's almost like one hand is overseeing the other. So no one can just come up with some dastardly scheme. Am I saying it's foolproof forever? No. But what I'm saying is it's relevant, it's important, and it's necessary. I promise you, make sure that you are protected, because by the time you need it, it's too late. Had this woman, Dr. Ena Farley, had this power of attorney, the medical power of attorney, even if it's a durable medical power of attorney, even if the son Chris was trying to say this, I guarantee you the son Jonathan would have been able to say, oh no, I'm her medical proxy, so whatever decisions need to be made are made by me. Legally, I have the authority. The paper would have been filed. You would have had it, and guess what? They wouldn't have been able to do a single thing. They wouldn't have been able to come in that house or anything. I don't know what that's. I'm trying to see what that says. Yeah, I'm. You know what? I'm glad to have convinced you. Unfortunately, it is the sad reality of this existence we live. When we were little, hope springs eternal, and we thought that life was going to be a bed full of roses. And unfortunately, it's not. These are the things we have to deal with. These are the things we have to endure. I mean, look at the heartbreak of seeing parents have to give their own child CPR because medical establishment won't help. I mean, how crazy was that video? With the young man that was the football player. We live in a dastardly world. And these are the things that we have to, prepare for. It's like, and here's the thing. I'm comfortable with my spirituality, and I'm comfortable standing in that. This is not a religious thing. I'm not religious at all. Religions are created for control. I am spiritual. I have a spiritual relationship, a personal relationship with the Most High God, and that is it. And I'm comfortable talking about it. whether, regardless of what book you ascribe to, or if you have a belief system or whatever, there is a scripture that says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. A lot of people misinterpret this thing. So for so many years, I've heard people misinterpret. Oh, God is watching over me. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Oh, no, 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 honey. It's like a game of Jeopardy. The answer is in the clue. It said, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. That means he's saying weapons will be formed against you. But if you walk according to my will and my way, I won't let them prosper over you. That is what it says. It doesn't say no weapons will form against you. And so we have to take into consideration what those weapons are. We have to understand what those weapons are. And sometimes those weapons are the people that you love. That's related to you. That's connected to you. Sometimes the weapons are systems that are set out to take what you have and to steal your assets, whether it be intellectual property assets, whether it be whatever. Somebody is set out to try to take what's yours. The only way to protect yourself against that is to make sure you have these legal documents in place. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. What'd you say? I saw that. Yeah. Had this family who had this son, and here's what the weird dichotomy was. Even though he's their child, he's a college student. This is the other family with the football player's son that had the car accident or someone hit him with the car or whatever. Here was the dichotomy, which is what was causing them to not be able to make those decisions, because this young man had hit the age of 19. And so 19 or 18, once you're 18, you're considered an adult. And so that's why he was not in the pediatrics department. He was under the care as an adult, and he was considered his own, to have his own voice. And so the parents, the hospital, if somebody has ill intent towards you, they will gladly take your rights away. It just so happens that this is what they chose to take his rights. The parents wanted to be able to make the decisions. They consider him a legal adult. And if he can't make his own decision, they'll try to. Now, what they should have done was going to get an injunction. If they got an injunction and had themselves designated his guardian, his legal guardian, then this would have been a smoother transition. It wouldn't have been super easy. I'm not going to sit here and act like it would have been easy at all, but it would have been a more tolerable decision. Once you can't speak for yourself, somebody else is going to speak for you. That comes from, that has to do with voting. That has to do with everything. If you're like, oh, they don't speak for me. Once you do nothing, somebody is going to make the decision for you. And that's what this life is about, unfortunately. So we got to get on top of taking care of ours. You need to get trust. Had she had a trust in place, this son, Chris, would have had no authority or right to step in and try to take over her home. Nor would this lady have been able to move in. It is elder abuse. That's what it is. And I don't know what the status or the situation is with Jonathan. Clearly, like she said, he was her exceptional student. He excelled and got all types of scholarships. However, people can be exceptional academically, and then they can be socially awkward, in general life, or a host of other things. We don't know what the situation is. But what I know is that Chris feels comfortable exerting dominance over his mother and his brother Jonathan for whatever reason. Maybe he deems him, she said Jonathan is the youngest, maybe they deem him weaker or something, but he feels comfortable exerting dominance over his mother, who is an older woman now, and his brother, and it's disgusting. So I implore you guys to make sure that you have your financial and your professional and personal estate issues. Don't think of, when I say estate, some people think, well, I ain't got no money, so I don't need no estate planning. Yes, you do. Estate planning is not just having a bunch of money. Estate planning is having a life insurance policy, having a medical care, a durable medical power of attorney for a healthcare proxy in the event you can't speak for yourself. It's having a pour over will for anything that was left out of the trust documents. The pour over will scoops it all in. A trust is the only estate planning document that you can pass your assets to your heirs without anybody's external point of view. If you have a will, if you just have a will, somebody can probate your will, drag that all the way out. The only concrete document that lives in perpetuity even after your death is a trust. It's the only thing. It doesn't cost as much as you think it does. Send me a message if you're interested in it, DM me. And here's the thing, you don't have to get it from me. Get it from any estate planner who is able to, financial services agent or estate planner that is able to assist you in this process. But get it done. When I say these things, I'm not like, oh, come and get it from me. Listen, if you want me to do your insurance and trust, reach out to me. However, if you want to seek that information, get a second, third, fourth opinion, but get it done. Don't waste your time sitting around doing nothing, because I promise you, by the time you need it, it is too late if you don't have it. And this is what will protect your house. If you own a house, you should have a trust. This will allow you to pass your house down to your children without anybody interfering and attempting to steal it from them. It's the only thing. It's the only thing. These cops would have had no job. Think of it. Cops coming in and dragging your mother out. Look at the video. You'll hear this woman crying, "You're breaking my arm. You are breaking my arm," over and over again, crying, the pain and the angst in her voice. It was sad. And you're going to see a picture of her once she emerged after interacting with the cops with a black eye, hair all tousled up. It was horrific. 80-something. Imagine you're an 80-something-year-old woman with a PhD who has spent your entire life educating people. And this is what you get out of life? It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right. So there are some things that we can do to protect ourselves in advance to prevent these things from happening. You never know where it's going to come from. You can love some. I'm sure she would have never thought that, or perhaps she did think so, because let's keep it real. We know people are an amalgamation of two people. Your kid can be one segment of all of who you are, and then a half of all of who that other side of the family is. And sometimes those two don't always match properly. So while I'm sure she would have never thought that her own child would do this to her, that's who did it. And so please, let's be realist when we are making these decisions. Whatever you decide for your family and whatever you decide for your estate planning, and you put that into your trust document, that lives in perpetuity. Perpetuity means forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. Yes. It's like when we watch a movie and they walk into the living room and there's this grand picture over the fireplace of this old gentleman. You're like, who's that? Oh, that's my great-great-grandfather Poindexter. Poindexter up there because Poindexter is the reason they all got properties and all got money. Because he had his documents in a trust. It's a very old document. And trust me, it lives past your physical house. When your flesh dies, that trust is still, it's an irrevocable trust. And you can do a revocable or irrevocable. Irrevocable means once you put that stuff in stone, you better make sure you know who you're giving it to, because that is stuck. And revocable is, hey, you say, I want my house to pass down to ya, and they end up doing something crazy or getting on your nerve a few years later, and you say, I'm not sending it to you, you're not responsible. You can change that person's name and put who you want in there. They also have something called a windfall clause. That way, if you know you have a kid, they're a good person, level-headed. However, they're young, so they're a little spendthrifty. They might take your assets and go buy a Ferrari. It has a windfall clause that you can prevent in the event of that and say, hey, I know this kid of mine, he's a flashy dude. He probably will blow all of this, so I have a windfall clause under this particular child. He can get, at my passing, he can get 15% of my assets. And then if you have like the proceeds from a life insurance, you will make the beneficiary of a life insurance policy will be the trust. So no one can come and snatch those assets or prevent it from being done. You will have a trustee. You'll be able to pass those duties over to who you want to be the trustee. Listen, get it done. Get it done. Don't waste your time. Don't let someone else in the street make the decisions for you. How many videos do you need? Look at Sonia Massey. How many videos do you need to see that those people that come are not your friend? When they have to come to your door, they're not your friend. I almost wish that there was some other agency. And if it has to be something that we ourselves create for ourselves, then perhaps that's what it needs to be. But we need people of integrity. We need people that are honest and sincere. And we need to create our own thing. And don't tell me it can't be done, because I'm from Crown Heights, Brooklyn, where the whole Jewish community, the Lubavitcher sect of the Hasidic Jews community, was within my community, and they had their entire own police force. And they were the ones that came out when situations happened. They didn't have to dial 911. Their own force came out. And so there is not, we can do it too. But it calls for us to have a lot more a greater moral plateau. We have to create some foundational principles. A good friend of mine created something like the Black Code back in the days, and we need to look at that. We need to have a set of code of responsibility, rules, policies that we abide by for our own selves and our people, and we need to stand on that. As the young people say, we need to stand on that business. Let me see what it says. How would I get in touch with you? Just in the comments say, email me at the insurance lady for you. So THAINSURANCELADY, the number 4, the letter U at gmail.com, the insurance lady for you, and say, I want whatever. Give me your information, give me your phone number and stuff for contact you, and I'll contact you. You know, before on TISA, I gave out my number. I got quite a lot of positive calls and a lot of business, and then I got a lot of weirdos and creeps too. So trying to avoid that. We see the little trolls are in here, and unfortunately, I got a couple of death threats too. This is the world we live in. I serve an on-time God. I'm not worried about them. And me and God and Lottie-Dottie, we good. So just saying that. But please reach out to me. Let me assist you guys in helping you get your financial house in order. And like I said, you're not obligated to do it with me. I don't have a problem just giving you the information. You go do your research and go find someone else. That's fine with me. It is not about me doing it. It is about you having it. That's what's important to me. So get it done, because trust me, nobody's going to care about you and your children without you designating and protecting their future. You are the steward of your children's future. You're the steward of your children's money. And it doesn't make sense to work hard, gain assets, do all of this, and let someone else determine what happens to those assets. It doesn't make sense. I was always shaken by this picture of Florence Ballard from the Supremes. When she was put out of the Supremes and she lost everything, her and her kids used to walk back to the old mansion that they used to live in and sit on the steps and look at the mansion. And she had went back to like the housing project and ended up homeless. I'm sorry. I don't got my readers on. Let's say so. I'm going to switch these out from readers on it because it looks like somebody said something really good, but I can't see it clearly. Oh, okay. Wow, you have me convinced. When I go to the hospital next week. Oh, yes. Make sure if you're going into the hospital, you set up that medical care proxy, that durable medical power of attorney, the limited power of attorney, and that is for in the event you're unable to make decisions for yourself, your children will be able to do your banking and do stuff like that. Now, if they just have the durable medical power of attorney, which is to make your healthcare decisions, trust me, they'll give them a hard time if they have to go to the bank to get the money out of your account to pay your mortgage. Make sure they also have a limited power of attorney, and you can put this limited power of attorney kicks in. You can literally write it out or have it typed out, can kick in the event I am unable to speak on behalf of myself. And if there's medical documentation to prove that I'm incapacitated, this limited power of attorney kicks in. And they can take that to the bank and facilitate all your banking. I promise you. Make sure you have it done. I saw that it was hard to watch them and they were speaking facts. Yes. How would I get in touch with you for a consultation? Absolutely. You know, it's not a time. The Most High. Thank you. Thank you, baby. I appreciate that. I know it's not my time either. Why would his mother let him pass? She's old. His mother is 80 something. Like, let him. She literally was trying to fight them off. They were manhandling her. It was not her fault. Trust me. I can sell you new glasses from the black market. Why don't you give me a glasses deal? And then I can promote your glasses and we can make a mutually beneficial strategic alliance, and you will get business and I will get compensated for my wearing your glasses. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, you're the creep that was saying change my glasses. Listen, if you want to advertise your glasses, there are a much better way to do it. First, lead with kindness instead of trying to be funny. But whatever. Why they so big? Because they mine and I do big things. I'm a big woman, big energy. That's why. One love to everybody. And there's a lot going on. And I have another video coming up soon too. Let me put back on my big glasses. So here's something that I found out from someone. I've always loved glasses. I've always loved accessories, glasses, hats, things like that. I'm the accessories girl. However, after I got shot, I really went into hyperdrive wearing glasses. And here's the thing, until about a year and a half ago, I didn't even need readers. I had 20/20 vision. Someone said to me that I wear glasses all the time because my entry point from, I got shot in my face. My entry point is here. I got shot in my nose and it broke my nose bridge and my cheekbone. And a major part of the bullet is right here. And I have 9 bullet fragments total in my face and head. And someone said to me that I wear glasses to hide where I got shot. And it never occurred to me. Like it was subconscious. And then I stopped and was like, huh? And he's like, yeah, it's like a security blanket for you. And I realized he was 100% right. And guess what? He's not a psychologist or anything. He's a layman, regular guy. Somebody I know. He said, that's your security blanket. And I stopped for a second and I thought back and I was like, he is 100% right. I have glasses of all kinds. Salon glasses. I have all kinds of glasses. They're my security blanket. And so they are. And I just happen to love them and I like accessories and I like the way they look. So, what can I say? But if somebody's interested in making a strategic alliance with me and making a mutually beneficial business transaction where I wear different frames every time I'm on, you get promotion, I promote you, you pay me for that promotion, let's do it. I'm all for it. So I'm going to divert slightly to another topic. I'm sure most of you guys and you guys that are on can let me know, have heard about the documents from Kim Porter's book. Why is my phone not charging all of a sudden? One moment. If anybody's on and they heard about it, let me know. Is it charging now? Sometimes these glasses can be so foggy. Okay. So you let me know. Have you guys heard about it? Yes. So you've heard about it. Well, Radar Online, a few other places reported that they were given the pages to the book. There's somebody shopping the book and sending it out. And so some people believe it, some people don't. Tell me what you guys think. Do you think that it's a book that Kim Porter was writing? Well, I received some of the pages too. And you ain't seen nothing yet. You can expect my commentary once that book is released. Yeah, I read the pages. Trust me, quite a bit of them. Not the entire book, but all of the stuff that the other places put out, I read those pages. I had it before they put it out. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it 100%. And I wasn't going to say this. I wasn't going to come out and say it, but, and I know it's going to be bombshell news. I believe it 100%. Yeah. Oh, she did. You could see, I've read quite a bit of it, and I'll tell you, once you are a part of a particular group, you can tell. So the commonality is Black woman. of a certain time and generation and everything. We can read when someone is writing of that person, of that voice. So based on your interactions with me, or a lot of you came over from Tisa, based on your interactions with Tisa, if someone presented something to you and said, hey, she wrote this, or Tisa wrote this, based on your interactions of who we are, how we, articulate things like that, you would generally be able to say, yeah, or nah, I don't believe this. And then Tisa, like she presented her pages, she took the liberty of running them through that system that checks to make sure it's not AI and fraudery or, a replication of something else. I read them. I believe while I can't say with 100% degree certainty, I believe with every fiber of my being, they are real. I read them. I read the pages. And not just the pages that's put out. There's pages that's not out yet. Baby, when they hit the airwaves, there is a young man on social media that said, if you're not black, stay out of this. And he said, because I'm going to have a conversation. And he like, add that here. Wow. That's all I'm going to say about that. Wow. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, because they will be coming out soon, and they are a guaranteed Mike Tyson first round knockout punch. My own eyes, I seen him. Held it with my own hands. Baby. Whew. If you think the ones that came out was crazy. You see this heat rising on me, right? It's a doozy. So I'm not going to make this live super long. I've said what I had to say. There are a couple other conversations that I want to have. I want to talk about, like I posted before and quite a few people responded, toxic femininity. I think that's an important topic that we need to discuss. There is so much toxic femininity out here. And at the same token, I'm not letting the guys off the hook. Toxic masculinity too. But it's a term that most of us are far more familiar with. And so it's not like I have to school anybody on it. What I will say is there has been an amazing uptick in toxic masculinity. And I don't know who put the battery in the back of all these men to build platforms that are particularly just focused on disrespecting women, especially black women. It is like a new subgenre. I don't know what it is, and I think it's disgusting. I'm talking bashing women, like, tell us how you really feel. Tell us what your true preferences are. First, it was just like the passport bros and all this. And a lot of black women were feeling bad, like, oh, they don't want us. Listen, let me tell you something about the passport bros type dudes. Do not allow them to make you feel less than, because their desire to become passport bros and go international to meet these other women, like, oh, we want submissive women that are going to be good women and treat us with respect. Listen, they're not over there getting married. They're not marrying those women. They want women that they can bash, they can subjugate, and that they can use for their own proclivities. We are not losing anything. The ones who want to scram and get a passport and go all over and be international whoas, let them go. Let them go. We're not missing anything. In fact, what we're doing is saving our physical health, because dudes like that come to kill, conquer, and destroy. And they come to kill your good spirit and your blessings. They come to destroy your flesh and, infect you, unfortunately. You think they're around. There was a video recently of a guy who joined the Passport Bros. He's back in America, STD'd up. Look for it. I don't know what the title of it was, but it was Passport Bro STD. Look it up. Like, you ain't missing anything. Be very careful. But I don't know why there is such this. Somebody is driving a wedge between us. For time immemorial, we've had our issues. I'm not going to act like as a people we haven't had our issues. We have our issues. We have things that are endemic to just us culturally. We have things that are on a larger, on a macro scale, things on a micro scale, all of that. But at least we still had a level of togetherness. I don't know what happened in this generation where it is just like these women, such and such, these women. I mean, horrific conversations about us. And so, guys, like, let's do soul searching. Let's not fall for the okey doke. There is a hidden hand somewhere in this thing creating this kind of behavior. Don't fall for the okey doke. Women are not your enemy and men are not your enemy. And then here's the unique irony. Toxic masculinity is usually men against women. The irony about toxic femininity, it's women against women. They're doing it to men as well, but they are incredibly treacherous to other women. And that is, I mean, it's like we can't win for losing. Everybody's against women. We have to do something to unite ourselves. We have to get back to center. We have to get back to homeostasis. And we're not each other's enemies. I guarantee you we sink or swim together. There is knowledge that men have that we need. There is strength that men possess that we need. There is an essence of masculinity that we need in our circles and our ciphers. And likewise for women, there are things that women can teach you that men just don't know, or they're not wired to pay attention to. And all the other things I said, there are things, the women's essence, all of that. I'm not talking about any other things. I'm not talking about, proclivities and rainbow coalition, none of that. I'm talking about just a man and a woman, whether it's a friend, a brother, or whatever. I just want us to not be each other's enemies. I think that is a nasty thing that has been on the uprise. I don't think it's productive. It's going to bite us in our behinds later on, and we just need to do better. So I'm going to end this live now. I thank you guys for being here. Please comment. Like I said, check. I'm growing this channel. I appreciate all the love I've gotten thus far. Continue to comment, like, share. What else is my daughter said? Subscribe, like, share, comment. Leave your suggestions of what topics you want me to discuss. I'm here to have conversations with you, and I enjoy being here with you. It's a fresh perspective on the landscape. This channel is growing. If you guys want to continue to support me in whatever way, I'm going to change into my readers again. They actually could use a little wipe off. It was a little cloudy. I've been through my own trauma. I've already teared up just thinking about it. Wow, you have a great weekend too. And I'm sorry for the trauma that you endured, sis. I mean, listen, we sink or swim together. Trauma is a heck of a thing. I hate to consider myself an expert on it, but I, over this quarter of a century, have come up with a set of tools to be able to help get back on track and have homeostasis in your mind, body, soul, spirit, and your flesh. And I will gladly, like I said, I created a docuseries called Shot. Unfortunately, we started filming and then the pandemic occurred and it shut us down. And then things just got in the way. You know how life goes. But we want to start filming again soon. If anybody has skills or talents and they want to help us with that, we absolutely love it. It's a phenomenal project. It's called Shot, Survivors Helping Others Through. And it is just that, survivor of trauma helping. And it doesn't have to be gunshots, because I even spoke to the Most High and I said, well, I mean, I know there are a lot of people that are shot, but once I interview a bunch of people that are shot, how do I keep helping? How do I keep going on? And he said, survivors helping through can be survivors of whatever, helping the others through. So no matter what your trauma is, if you have somebody that you need to, that's right, baby, we still here. If you have something that you need to talk to somebody with, hit me up, give me a call. Send me an email. I left my email and I'll put it in the description box. Send me an email and I will call you and we can talk. I'm that type of person that's here when you need to talk. And if you just need someone to listen, I'm cool with that too. I tell people, we have to do this in our own lives. Do people have their listening ears on or do they have their venting ears on? Because somebody who needs you and they're coming and they're venting and you're sitting there with what you need to do, that's not what they're here for. Just ask them, hey sis, what you got, your venting ears on or your listening ears on? If they hear and they're seeking feedback and they want to listen, then yeah, impart your wisdom. But sometimes people just need to get it off. And we got to let people get stuff off their chest. Because anything that causes dis-ease in your mind, body, spirit, and flesh will create disease inside of you. So we got to stop. I had to learn this because we're opinionated and we want to share. We want to help people. We're inclined to want to help the people we love. But baby, sometimes somebody comes to you just because they trust you and they know for them to shed their woes to you is safe, and they just need to get it off. Stop cutting them off to tell them what you want to, what you need to do is what you need to do it, because then you shut them away. You make them feel like their cries are not valuable, and then they're gonna seek something else out. And think about it. Would you prefer for them to share it with you or to go somewhere and self-medicate? The self-medicating don't help. It doesn't help. So we got to be better at hearing people and listening to them. Not just hearing them speak, but actually listening and taking it in. If another day arises and you want to say, you know, hey, remember that conversation we had a few days ago? Listen, girl, you know I'm always here for you. If you ever need me, I'm always here for you. You said a couple of things. I want to circle back. Is it okay? You got a few minutes? Can we talk? And then you allow circle back and say, hey, I was considering, I thought about what you said, and here's what I'm thinking. If you blah, 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 you mind if I give you a little word? And they'll be like, sure, what's up? Tell me. Or they may say, no, I'm not ready for that yet. And guess what? Respect that too. Respect that too, because trust me, when they're ready, they're going to come and say, yeah, tell me that stuff you want to tell me. And keep in mind that they may never come back and say that. But guess what? If you truly love them, be that safe place for them to fall. We need to learn to be a safe place for the people in our circles and our ciphers to fall. We need to do that. And I'm talking men and women. We need to do that for each other, for our mates. Stop making it so hard for our mates to feel safe to tell us something, and stop using it as power. We have to grow up. We are of a certain age. We need to grow up. I look at the analytics. I see the age group of the people that follow me. We need to grow up. If your mate comes and tells you, hey, baby, let me tell you what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And you like, what, babe? And you listen, and you like, I can't believe what? And you doing all that. And the first time y'all have an argument, you be like, that's why, blah, blah. Come on. Grow up. We did those things in our teens and 20s. If you're still doing that in your 40s and 50s, even in your 30s, you know what that's called? Stunted. You stunted. What on earth are you using and weaponizing people's deepest, darkest secrets against them for? That has never yielded anybody a single thing. If you are even willing to take what somebody has shared with you and weaponize it against them, you're not really in their corner. And why would you want to be somebody's frenemy? Why are you holding on to people or interacting with people who you don't care for? It's better that you end those relationships, and it's no love loss. You move on. People grow apart. People grow away from each other. It's okay. But to stay there and to feign a fake friendship only to take what they say and weaponize it against them or tell it to other people is dastardly. And trust me, the Most High is going to give you retribution. I'm telling you. Don't do it. It's a waste of time. Think about your karmic. Right now, we have to be thinking about karma and thinking about what we're doing, and what we're doing to other people and what we're doing in this world will fall on our children. I know some people are going to be like, but the scripture says the sins of a man befall his generation 7 times. That means if you do dirt, 7 times, 7 generations will have to face the repercussions of it. You don't believe me? I'm going to say one name, Kennedy. Look at the Kennedys. Their great-great-great-grandfather, the one that built the wealth, also did a lot of dirt. Look at their history. Look at the sins of a man before his generation 7 times. We got Senator Kennedy right now who's running for president, who probably would have won if whatever the speech impediment is didn't exist. But people don't regard that as someone who is strong enough to be the president. He very well may be, and may be a great guy. But guess what? A lot of people in mass, when people do groupthink, they won't overcome that. We have got to just do better. We got to do better. And I know there's some people that, oh, she's always talking about God, this, that, the other. Listen, I am a thinker, and I do tons of research just because. Not for, I'm an educated woman, I'm a thinker, and I like information. And so I do research. And when I have questions that can't be answered, I go seek that out. I went to theology school because I had questions. And I would pose those questions to people, in those belief systems, and they could not answer me. And so in order for me to seek clarity, I went to theology school. So yeah, it has a lot of factual basis on what, and I was raised, in the church. It's not necessarily what I ascribe to. I don't like organized religions because they are created for control. I don't care what you personally think. Do your research before you come here and judge. I'm telling you, if you go and do research, you will find that each belief system is structured around control. As a people, we grew up in the Word. We know what that looks like. So I prefer spirituality. Spirituality is my zone. It's my lane because it is a personal relationship with the Most High God. I'm not trying to tell you who to believe in. Haven't mentioned one religion since. I don't care what you call God. I just care that you call on God. Because we have to know that there is a higher power. If you just stand on the street and look up at a skyscraper, you have to know that some power exists to be able to imbue humans with that level of know-how, knowledge, and skill to be able to create such a thing. So I'm not trying to tell anybody who to believe in, what to believe, whatever. I just pray that you are a believer. And even the ones that claim not to be believers, when you laying on that ground somewhere because whatever happened and you looking up, I always know, and I've seen it come to pass. People scream, "Oh God, help me." So, like I said, just like with a power of attorney or a trust document, if you don't have it by the time you need it, it's too late. And on that, I will end it until we meet again. It is overwhelmingly blessing to my heart. I love you guys. I truly enjoy you guys. Continue to make comments and tell me topics that you want to discuss. Whatever you want to hear me discuss or do a video about, please put it in the comments. Like, subscribe, comment, share, subscribe. I gotta remember, my daughter's gonna make all those things for me on Canva so it can just come up on the screen and I don't have to say it. I'm old school. I keep telling y'all I'm 54. So some of this is, not my forte, but I have a young one that helps me and keeps me on my toes, and I love that. And it's something we do together, so I absolutely love it. I thank you guys for your support, and until we meet again, Nerd Herd, I love you guys. Be well. Go tell somebody you love them. They need to hear it. There's somebody in your life right now that needs to hear, I love you. I care about you. I'm thinking about you. How are you doing? And I want to say one thing before I leave, too, about our parents, because I've been having a conversation with a few people offline about that in real life. People that are struggling with things that they endured at the hand of their parents. Now, I'm not saying, oh, if somebody abused you, forget it, get over it. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if we take the title, once you attain a certain age, take the title of mother and father off of your parents and just look at them as a man and a woman, just like yourself, that got joys, happiness, tears, fears, sadness, issues that need tissues, and all those things, heartbreaks, all that. Turmoil, secrets that you never shared with anybody, abuses that you endured that you never told a soul for whatever reason, and those things impact and inform how you deal with the world today. Take those titles off of them and just see them as people that are perfectly flawed. And then you would have a better relationship. You have to make a conscious decision. Our parents, if you're around my age, their years ahead of them are far less. The years behind them are far more than the ones in front of them. Make a concerted effort and a decision to let ish go. Because you're going to, listen, the ones who don't let it go will be throwing themselves on top of the coffin and screaming, "Oh, God." Don't do it to yourself. And also, keep in mind, I'm a psych major. There is something in psychology that we learn in 101. It's called, it's by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. It's the stages of death and dying. We're not young, we're getting older. I see a lot of people having this cantankerous relationship with their family. Oh, my father all of a sudden just start cursing everybody out, and he real mean, he acts stinking, all that stuff. I don't got time to deal with him. Those are the stages of death and dying. Whether they consciously know that they're sick and going through, or they subconsciously feel like their time is dwindling away. Please go do the research. It is the stages of death and dying. It has been renamed. They were calling it the stages of trauma and dying and things like that. But there's a school of thought called by a psychologist named Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Go Google her name. Go look up the stages of death and dying. Some of the stages are anger. That's when your family member just starts going crazy on you for no reason and everybody cursing everybody out. They're probably dying and they are afraid to tell people. It's anger, bargaining, and this is in no particular order. Anger, bargaining, hyper religiosity, despair and despondence and sadness, acceptance. There's a few stages of death and dying. It's about, before the list used to be 9, and then I think they dwindled it down between 5 and 7. Go look them up. Once you see that people are enduring those particular things, it'll teach you how to deal with them. If you have a family member, an older family member that just starts cussing everybody out, understand that they may be suffering from something that you don't know. And don't match their energy. You know, people like to be like, I match energy. Well, that's petty and stupid. Grow up. Matching energy is dumb. You are grown up. How can someone outside of you inform how you present in the world? If you got a relative, a family member that's just cursing everybody out, meet that with kindness. Be like, hey, what's up, boo? Oh, somebody that mess with you? Oh, let me, simulate like, oh, let me take my earrings off and get my Vaseline. Who messing with you? Let's go. Let's roll out. Do whatever you have to do to get them, to win them back. And just let them know that you're in their corner. They're not alone. They're not suffering alone. People will open up to you. You'll be surprised. Do you want your family member to, their last memory to be that because they were angry about the fact that they knew they were dying and they cursed you out, you cursed them back? You're going to suffer when they're gone. You're going to suffer with the unresolved pain of knowing what you said to them and you didn't know that they were sick. Just take for granted you don't know what people are suffering from. Be kind. Be kind. You have a choice in the matter. You do not have to meet someone's, someone could have been in the bargaining stage. God, if you save me, I will do this. God, I promise if you save me from this, I will blah, 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 blah. And then they get to a point, they go back to the doctor. The doctor's like, hey, your time is running out. Make peace with your family. You got about 3 months. Now they're angry because they're like, God, I've been telling you I would do this and that. This is real life. It's real life. Be kind. You don't know what people are dealing with. And trust me, it'll save you from then eating yourself away after they're gone because you will not be able to apologize once their flesh house has died. And it will eat you alive. I've seen it happen. Don't do it to yourself. You ain't gonna like it. So this time for real, I'm signing off. Until we meet again, Nerd Herd. Peace. I love you. How you turn this thing on? See, now I don't even know how to sign off. I'll put my readers back on. All right, guys. Until we meet again.